A humble faith in Jesus Christ is necessary, is the title of this first part of 2. Before God created the visible world, the universe in which we live, He created the invisible world, the spiritual world, the angels, the spirits. And before God created the invisible world, there was only God, the eternal and the infinite spiritual being, known as the Great Spirit, the Eternal Spirit, the eternal intelligence, the eternal life, the eternal love, and the eternal happiness. The point is that the effect, such as creation, cannot be greater than its cause, such as God, Creator. For example, the watch cannot exist without a watchmaker. The house cannot exist without an architect. And the music cannot exist without a music composer. In ultimate analysis, it is the visible world that cannot exist without invisible world. The visible world cannot exist without invisible world. In other words, there must be at first the thought and then action. Creation follows. Jesus Christ said this clearly in the Gospel of St. John, chapter 6, verse 63. It is the Spirit that gives life, but not the flesh, which is of no avail. In other words, it is the Spirit of God who keeps the universe functional and alive, as our soul keeps our body alive and functional. Once Jesus calls our soul from our body, from this life, then the body will cease to exist, and we will wait for a new body as Jesus has. We will have that new body as Jesus has at the end of time, at the end of the world, when Jesus will come for the second time. Our soul will be just waiting in eternity. But we'll be happy if we are with Jesus Christ. In our profession of faith, we say that through Jesus Christ all things, visible and invisible, were made. When the spiritual world of angels was put to the test, then what happened? As the Bible teaches us, one part of the spirits, led by the Lucifer, the one who carries the light of God, rebelled against God and refused His will. The Lucifer became God's adversary, and then the devil, which means the liar, the slanderer, while his follower spirits became the demons, the evil spirits. Although God expelled Lucifer and the demons from His friendship, God did not take away His gift of perfect knowledge and the perfect intelligence from them. And that is a great mystery of God's will, that He allowed His gift of knowledge and intelligence to be abused by the devil, by Satan, by Lucifer. After our first parents, Adam and Eve, were seduced by the devil and committed the original sin, God, by his mysterious will, again allowed the fallen angels to continue their influence over the mankind and in the world, as St. John clearly writes in his letter, first letter, chapter 5, verse 19. St. John writes, "We know that we are God's children, and the whole world is under the power of the evil one. According to the astronomers, our planet Earth is 4.5 billion years old, and the whole universe 13.8 billion years old. Therefore, the Satan and the demons have been around for billions of years. According to the archaeologists, the skeletons of Homo sapiens, namely of fully developed human being with intelligence and free will and responsibility, come from Africa, and they are 200,000 years old. Other Homo sapiens skeletons were found in Saudi Arabia and in the nearby regions such as Iraq, Iran, Syria, and they are 100,000 years old. In Europe, Homo sapiens skeletons are 60,000 years old. So we can say that Adam and Eve were put to the test in paradise probably 200,000 years ago. As for the extraterrestrial people, we don't know when God created them. However, the extraterrestrial intelligent beings in the interviews with us clearly claim that to have their origin from Earth and from Homo sapiens. This explains their constant interest in Earth and in us. But since they say that the Earth is overpopulated, their interest is really not in us, but in themselves. Because God would never say this, that the Earth is overpopulated. In fact, by saying that the Earth is overpopulated, it's like to say we must eliminate people, we must kill people. But why they look humanoid, reptilian, monstrous, freaky and frightful? The only explanation is that some forbidden biological experiments happened between fallen angels and fallen mankind. Some forbidden experiments. The only explanation is that some forbidden biological experiments happened between fallen angels, Luciferians, and the fallen mankind. In these biological experiments, which were against God's will and against nature's law, the fallen angels, the Luciferians, were using both human beings and the animals. Maybe these freaky, frightful and monstrous humanoids are the Satan's creation. So we can say that these freaky, frightful and monstrous humanoids came into existence just after the original sin of Adam and Eve, and therefore 200,000 years ago.